partner with Axon, you immediately gain access to a full range of products and solutions designed to meet the complex needs of today's grower. We carry all major brands and sizes of tires and wheels. We specialize in large diameter wheels for large equipment. We have one of the largest OEM replacement wheel inventories in North America. Known for extreme flotation setups, duals, and triples, we have wheels for all makes and models of tractors, sprayers, combines, and grain carts. If we don't have the wheel in stock, we'll custom build, sandblast, and paint in-house. There isn't a more vast inventory in North America dedicated to helping dealers move more iron. With facilities on the West Coast and in the heart of the Midwest, leverage our 230,000 square feet of indoor inventory to solve any problem a grower may have. Move more iron with Axon.
Moving iron.
Yeah. Hello and welcome to Moving Iron Podcast number 1000. Woo! It's a big one. We flew in some special talent all the way in from Australia.
He just airdropped.
We took the travel budget for the Moving Iron Podcast and blew it all on one guy. Tim Short here is actually with us. So Tim, man, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks guys. It's a pleasure to be here.
Right on. Great to have you, man.
All right, let's take care of some business here first. Axon Tire has been helping dealers move iron for the past 100 years. For more information, go to axontire.com. Axon Tire has got a couple great gifts for all the loyal Moving Iron Podcast listeners. If you're interested in getting a free light, like a flashlight, right, so you can see in the dark. And then if you want a ball cap too, get one of those and send an email to mark@axontire.com. You should send one and see if they'll send one to Australia.
Yeah, I will.
It'd be kind of cool if they did that, because
Yeah.
I don't know how a flashlight works in Australia. Is it different than
It just shines out the back.
It works
turn it
exactly.
backwards to make it shine forwards? I mean, how's it work?
It works exactly the same.
Same way? Okay. All right.
But down might be off and up might be on.
Yeah. Right on. So if you want that, send an email to marketing@axontire.com and they'll send you one in the mail. Valley Transportation has been hauling ag and construction equipment across the country for the past 33 years. Call Parker at 800-657-4910 for all your trucking needs at Valley Transportation. Our goal is to help you reach yours. Powered by Farm Credit, Ag Direct is built for today's agriculture with simple applications, quick responses, competitive rates, and generous, flexible terms. Ag Direct offers lease, buy, and refinance options for almost all types of new and used equipment. Non-recourse and timely funding back to the dealership, plus sales incentives. No other ag equipment lender works like Ag Direct. Learn more by calling your Ag Direct territory manager or 800-525-9805 or visit us at agdirect.com. Tractor Zoom has access to over $20 billion in heavy equipment sales data. Tractor Zoom's Iron Comps is the industry's trusted solution for transparent equipment values and optimal pricing insights. Lastly, this podcast is brought to you by Anvil AppWorks. Their Dealer Connect CRMI app with integrated inventory management is an affordable Salesforce-based solution for your dealership. Create connected customer experience and help transform how you work today. All right.
Time. Wow.
That was a good one. Got worked up a little sweat there.
Burn through them, baby.
Got a little lather going
Woo!
through that one. So Tim was actually in the United States and he wanted to come by. You were in Nebraska to start with.
Yeah.
On the other end of the state. So there's two parts of Nebraska. There's eastern side and then there's the western side that people forget about. So he made his way out to the western side of Nebraska to see what's going on. So, man, what have you been up to since we talked to you last?
Oh, gee, it's been a while since we've spoken.
It's been a little bit.
But, yeah, things are starting to change. Our market's sort of winding. Where I'm noticing a bit of a wind back in our market. It's not as red hot as what it was when I was talking to you, and I think you guys are probably saying the same thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Up here. So,
and I think is it market wide or is it spotty? Is there still some things?
No, it's pretty much market wide.
Okay.
It's pretty much market wide. Yeah, it's tempering.
Yep.
See, and I would say ours right now, the extremely super high end has lost that. What's that term you give it?
Love and feeling.
No,
No, there's
not
another.
no, not that.
The,
Not that. I know it. That's in the back of my F-14 Tomcat. But my Rio
scarcity premium.
Scarcity premium. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That luster is dimming quickly.
Yeah.
And what I have said from the get-go, being in the trenches all the time, turds are still turds.
That's
And
true.
they're even
Yeah.
more so that.
Mhm.
Now, all that stuff in the middle, hot.
Mhm.
Especially the tractor that's always been hot. The double market gap, 15 to
Sure.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That. And we were talking about some stuff earlier on a thing I put together, some data I pulled together. But it was, if you look at that chart where the biggest bulk of tractors, especially, are falling into that $250,000 to $150,000 range, which would be that. It's hard to say that. Hard to believe that a 2,500 hour tractor is $150,000 tractor anymore. But
Right.
I mean, as you're looking at what's going on in the marketplace, that's a very static position right now, and what we're looking at. So I mean, Tim, when you're looking at your marketplace, it's a different kind of thing. Like you don't get a lot of 300 hour tractors coming in.
No, we're very,
right?
very rarely. And like I've said before, we had a tractor on the lot with 300 hours on it. The first question they'd be asking is, what's wrong with it?
Yeah.
What's going on? I want to know some history about this.
Right.
So more so our really red hot, we've had some Magnum tractors that have been traded at like just sub 1,000 hours, and they're gone like that.
Yeah.
Our scarcity is probably going to take a little while to wear off compared to you guys, because there's 6 or 8 weeks shipping involved.
Right, yeah.
So it's going to be delayed. I guess the other thing that we have too is you guys are opposite to us in terms of weather. So you guys are, from what I hear, is you guys are going into a La Nina, or there's a La Nina forecast for you guys.
Yeah.
Where
La Nina going into El Nino.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
El Nino. That's right.
Yeah,
I've got it
right.
around the wrong way. So we're going into an El Nino phase, is what they're saying. So people are probably getting a little nervous about, it's drying up, and it's going to be, and that really affects our market, because like I've said before, when it's dry in Australia, it's dry, and that market switches off like that as well.
Right.
So, and we've had a dry start to the year.
Yeah.
However, in saying that, if it's going to be dry, this is probably the time it needs to be dry. So it'll be interesting to see what happens weather-wise in the next 6 weeks. That'll be the telltale sign.
Because you're in fall right now, right?
We just started fall.
Just started fall.
Yeah.
So because it's different.
Right.
We're upside
Right.
down.
It's different.
It's upside down.
They have a metric weather pattern, and we have imperial over here. It's way different. Way different. When you're looking at so you have a little bit of cotton, right?
Yeah.
A little bit of cotton, a little bit of wheat.
Yeah.
A little bit of everything.
Probably more so small grains than
Small
cotton,
grains,
but
okay.
we're still
Right.
classed as a major cotton producing valley.
Okay.
In the country.
What are some of the trend lines you're seeing on? Let's go start with the small grain equipment. You're looking at combines, looking at heads, and those kind of things. Are you seeing any divergence from, say, like a 35-foot head to like a 40-foot head, or anything like that, where you're seeing a change in the marketplace?
Yeah, probably slightly. One thing, we made the convergence a long time ago to 40-foot, and the reason we went to 40-foot is because it equates to 12 meters. A lot of guys have got 12 meter gear, and that is works really well for tramlining or controlled traffic, because that's a big thing in Australia,
Right.
compaction and all that sort of stuff. But what I'm starting to see is a little bit of guys shifting up to 45-foot fronts, and also to MacDon, I've got the 50-foot front. Deere's got the 50-foot front. So it'll be interesting to see if it changes at the combine end or it changes at the other end, because 50-foot with 120-foot spray, like 40-foot works really well with 120-foot sprayer.
Sure.
3 passes, but where does 50-foot fit into that?
Sure. Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
So combine size wise is what's the class size? Is
So
it 6, 7, 8? What is it?
We've gone to class 8.
Okay.
So probably 6 or 8 years ago, it was predominantly class 7, and we've now picked up to class 8, and that's
pretty familiar. It's about the same.
so yeah.
No.
You'd struggle to get buy a new class 6 machine in Australia.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, and even to the point where some dealers don't carry class 7 machines because they're 8250s in CaseIH and 780s in John Deere, and even we don't sell many class 9s. And the reason we don't sell too many class 9s is because we don't have a front yet big enough to get the capacity out of a class 9.
Right.
So yeah, because our crops yield.
Well, there
so
are
much
them
less.
60-foot heads over there.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is. But you don't see too many of them.
Right.
You don't see too many of them.
Right.
So yeah.
So from playing equipment on the small grain side, when you're looking at your air drills and box drills and all those kind of things that you're using, have you seen a divergence from that where you're looking at more? Have they gotten bigger? I mean, I don't want to say that 60-foot air drills over here are anything new, but they're getting to be more and more 60-foot air drills out there on the used marketplace than there was maybe even 2-3 years ago. You seen something similar?
So we're not at my dealership. We're not huge on tillage equipment, and a lot of the guys stick with those multiples of 40. And the further north you go from my dealership, there's guys into 60, 80.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. So no, I haven't noticed a huge shift to any size. Yeah, they just usually stick with.
Is spacing changed at all?
Not really. So there's no standardized spacing. It depends on where you are. Like guys who are running a lot of sheep will be on narrower spacings because they want to plant a cover crop like lucerne or alfalfa, rye, those sorts of things.
Sure. Same
clover.
thing here does.
Yeah.
He does that a lot.
Yeah. So and it can be 13 1/3 inch spacings, which is it works out to the meter. So yeah, it really depends on what the guys wanted to do.
Right on. Okay.
So
when you're looking at tractor horsepower ranges, are you seeing any real big changes there? Are you seeing bigger horsepower 4-wheel drives coming in? Or are you seeing more row crop stuff? Yeah,
no, we're seeing bigger 4-wheel drive tractors because we've got the overlap of you can buy a 400 Steiger or you can buy a 400 Magnum.
Yeah.
So guys are more inclined to go for a 400 Magnum than what they are a 400 Steiger because they can do more with that because the Steiger is really still just a pulling tractor, a tillage tractor, whether a row crop Magnum at 400 horsepower, it's got the 3-point hitch on the rear. You can do a lot more with that compared to a Steiger. So what used to be 400 horsepower as the starting point, now we're probably starting to see 450 and 500 is the starting point of the 4-wheel drive market. So and up to 600.
And I'd say that's
that mirrors us.
We're doing
too.
So
especially
you see like with companies like Fendt when they've got the 400 and 500 horsepower row crop tractor, you're starting to see a lot more of those bigger horsepower tractors start to play into that row crop spacing just because of what you said. I mean, so much more what you can do with those machines. Our
nimble utility.
Yeah. Well, I worked with the customer I have and the same deal. And we went from instead of a 420 horsepower 4-wheel drive to a 410 horsepower 2-track row crop tractor. And it was again, versatility was what played into that, and also pricing played in that as well too. So you do a lot more stuff with that one tractor than you can the other one. So when you're looking at your like we call it our loader tractor marketplace, that 150 horsepower to 200 horsepower range stuff, what are you seeing there, and how is that different? Is there any real difference?
No, it hasn't really changed.
What's availability look like on the market for that?
Mixed.
Is it mixed? Okay.
It's mixed. It really depends because we get our Maxim tractors out of UK, so shipping's probably not quite as challenging coming out of the US. But there hasn't really been much change. That's still a market that anything above 100 horsepower and it's got a loader on it, up to that 150 or even 195, 200, it's out the gate.
Yeah.
So it's a really sought after market. And I think because the way I explain it is that whether you're a big farmer or you're a small farmer, you've got a use for that tractor.
It's your big tractor or your little tractor.
Correct.
But it fits everybody.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So you'd mentioned that you aren't in your area, you're not real big on tillage. Is it no till that you're doing or strip till or what do you?
No, it's probably more so we're not big on tillage as a branch or as a dealer group. We don't sell a lot of tillage equipment, and tillage equipment doesn't change hands a lot in Australia. And the reason being is because tillage gear can be modified so easily.
Sure.
You can change spacings on things and
So we talked about, and again, the last 5 podcasts we've done, we've talked about the whole upgrade kit thing and retrofit kits and precision precision ag add-ons, stuff like that. You being a Case dealership and precision stuff on planters and stuff like that are from the factory that way. When you're looking at how is the upgrade planter thing, is it made its way to Australia where you're really seeing a lot of movement in that?
No, not really. No.
Do you see it? You see it coming? Is people asking about that kind of stuff?
Yes and no. It's not as big as what it is here because we simply don't have the row crop population.
Sure. Yeah.
So a lot of our guys are happy to take whatever you can get from factory. They'll take it. There'll be the odd guy that'll tweak it to suit their needs.
Right.
But they're few and far between. So yeah.
Which makes sense if you're not chasing king corn.
Right? Yeah, that's right.
That's what drives all that planter stuff.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. So when you're looking at like air seeders and stuff like that, do you have? Now you're looking at different companies. Like what's the name of that company that we have that you can put that system on it, and it basically makes individual row blockage. It'll come to me in a minute.
Not precision planting.
No, it'll come to me in a minute. It'll come to me after we turn off the podcast. But anyway, there's companies like that out there where you can put on that individual blockage on each individual unit. You can block off various units throughout the thing. Are you seeing any technology like that that's coming through?
Yeah, there's a bit of that. There is a bit of that, and then that's mainly local suppliers are doing that sort of stuff. So,
and the reason I'm asking this question is because in the U.S. we have trading something every year to get something new. Some growers that's not out of the ordinary thing at all. I would think in a market like yours where you run a tractor for 7,000 or 8,000 hours and you might put Lord knows how many hectares on an air seeder and those kind of things, where that upgradable technology would be more, I guess,
more feasible,
and more people would be looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, the guys, depending on what the guys are doing, sometimes they'll keep that tillage gear they might keep it for 10 years before they flip it. Like we very rarely see guys flipping. The time they'll flip it is if they've changed their operation, like they want to go wider or they want to go narrow or they want to change their row spacing and they can't configure that with a machine. So yeah.
I think that's the same with us when it comes to tillage. I mean, if someone's trading in a piece of tillage equipment, it's usually, they've got to get out of it. You know what I mean?
Typically.
They're at a point where they either need to put new bearings or new disc or something like on it, and they've done it a couple times. So they're
jumping a size.
If
they're jumping a size.
Well, that's
30 to 35.
Right.
So one thing we sell a lot of, and we've sold a lot this year, because tillage has come back into vogue, especially we've in certain areas we've got a resistance problem. Is we sell the K-line speed tillers. Now you guys get them in the US branded as CaseIH speed tillers, and we've sold a lot of those, and we've also traded a couple of those machines and sold them, and there've been guys who've traded and gone for a bigger size. So yeah.
Yeah, so they've got some options out there when we're looking at some of your short lines that you carry. What are some of the short lines that you were say 5 years ago? Because I feel, and the reason I'm asking this question, when I look at short lines, there are a lot of fads that come out of short lines.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like tillage. There's always the guy that's got the brand new whatever that you can
vertical
do
to it,
whatever,
something like that.
with, and
Yeah.
it seems like that when you're looking at your overall, your short line stuff, is there anything new that showed up in Australia that wasn't there 5 years ago?
I guess one that comes to mind is Woods.
Okay.
So Woods do a lot of slashing
Mhm.
equipment. That's pretty much what we get in Australia. But yeah, Woods is a real competitor to Schulte. You
Yep.
get Schulte here.
Right.
So that's something that has showed up, and it's it's gathering momentum. So yeah.
When you're so kind of as you kind of take a look at the rest of 23, I'm looking at 23 thinking that we'll see. I don't foresee like a huge correction by any means, that there's going to be some big, drop off of a cliff anywhere, but it's just going to be gradual kind of erosion. I talked about the scarcity premium thing, where you as more machines come out of the factory,
Yeah.
we're going to start seeing
Availability.
more and more kind of options that pop up. So supply and demand are going to be, those rules are going to start, kind of flipping around a little bit. I would guess that if I'm looking at it into 23 into 24, you've got to be looking at it 25, 26, just because of the delay kind of coming out and what that looks like.
Well, we're starting to see a little
Just
bit of
shipping
freeing up,
delays,
but
yeah.
and what I've been told is shipping is starting to free up a lot, and also
Mhm.
to the apparently the cost of shipping has come down. We
Yeah,
haven't
way down.
we haven't seen that, but it's coming apparently. So
It's amazing how long it takes from the time that they contract that stuff till they actually like you hear about, price of fertilizer is down, and then you go talk to the farmer, ain't down any more than it was last year.
Right.
It's when they contracted it and everything else that come into play. So it's a definitely a big move. And shipping delays, when I'm talking shipping delays, I'm talking like getting it to the port and from the port on the ship to Australia. That's what I'm talking about. Shipping delays there. That's had to have been
Real shipping.
Yeah.
Ship on the
Yeah,
ship.
it has been really tough. And I guess one of the other things is too, in Australia, our ports are heavily unionized.
Yeah.
So we had ships and there was equipment sitting on the docks and there was nothing happening. So we had a couple of instances where the National Farmers Federation had to step in and get things sorted. Otherwise, that was especially in Western Australia. So that's a challenge itself. So it gets to the country and then we wait X amount of weeks to get it off the port.
Right.
So and I
Double whammy.
Yeah, I felt for the guys because there's really nothing you can do. So
Right.
And also to shipping companies that also so shipping companies, because of the inefficiencies at our port, shipping companies were not inclined to send ships to Australia because they don't get paid when the ships are sitting off, off the port.
Yeah.
So they want to be in, unload, and go again.
Yep.
And that just wasn't happening as quickly as it could have been.
If it's sitting, they're not making money.
That's exactly right. Exactly. So
and then somebody found a hairball and they had to send it to Tasmania to go through a cleanliness port and then to send it back.
Well, we did. We had a couple of machines come in from Italy. We sell the Merlot telehandlers, and they found some stink bug in the telehandler, so they had to go back through customs and be fumigated, and it was a bit of a nightmare. But yeah.
I've sent one thing to Australia one time. I don't remember what it was.
It was a tractor.
Was it
because they used a toothbrush in on the tracks.
Yeah,
you told me
take a Dremel tool and like the cracks and stuff.
Oh, yeah, to get all the soil,
get all the dough out. And
I
was like, I should just send a new pair of tracks because it would have been
it would have been cheaper. Yeah.
So that was good times. That was a lesson learned.
So you haven't done it since?
No, I did a MacDon head one time.
Yeah.
And it was wicked clean all the way through, except for there was on the frame, there was a bar at the top that they didn't blow out, and there was like a dirt in there or something, and they had to send it back through whatever to get it cleaned out.
Yeah.
So I mean, things like that. Good times. Good times.
I remember that story from when I started in the wholesale. And I was like, ooh, I got a guy from Australia. Like, it can never be clean enough. Just so you know.
No.
Whatever you're thinking, quadruple it.
I started when I there shortly thereafter, I pretty much, if I was sending something overseas that had any kind of ground engaging at all, so you tractor tires, whatever it was, I'd hire one of those certified cleaning people that would come through and they would clean it. And if it didn't pass
that,
then it was on them to get it clear.
At the dock, right? They do it.
Yeah,
on
okay.
site.
So they're like a
because I had a combine done that way.
They'll do it at the port. Like you sent something out of Baltimore or whatever, they'll clean it at the port, and then when they get done there, they'll send it. And if it doesn't make it through inspection in Australia, it's on them.
Yeah.
So you pay, $100,000 to get that done, but
yeah, it's
at least
worth
you
it.
have to pay $101 when you go over there to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a racket. That's what it is.
That's what it is.
It's a racket.
But there wouldn't be many instances that you would send equipment to Australia because of our exchange rate.
Yeah, exchange rate right now is what the big limiting factor is. I think that's the way around the world you look at anything.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is always I love asking this question to guys when I talk to them and they're from another country and they're used to exporting, which anybody outside the United States is used to exporting.
Right.
So,
to us, it's exciting.
Yeah, to them,
it's business.
It's every day. It's every day. So when what's that exchange rate? Where do you like to see the exchange rate at to really make you excited to go like, yeah, I'll jump through the hoops?
1 for 1.
Well,
That was pretty much, that's when we saw a real spike, 1 for 1. And that was back in 2012, 2013. It was a big year. There was guys imported what we call in Australia grey machines from the US. They imported pickers.
That's what we call them when they come to the US.
That's exactly right. That's what I was thinking. I was like, that's yours.
So I think one of the big things that's changed is high horsepower in Australia is tier 2. High horsepower here is tier 4 and final tier 5. Yeah. So we don't have that restriction in Australia. So if our dollar was 1
get lots of calls for exporting high horsepower?
No, not really. Not from us. And it's only going to be it's not going to be if, it'll be when. I don't know, because our market's not big enough. Like if someone like the Ukraine or South Africa or South America change, then they're not going to be able to run 2 production lines to facilitate that tier 2 engine.
Right.
So we'll be stuck with tier 4 or tier 5. So, and that's a big deciding factor in that.
I went to South Africa in 2014. I think that's when it was.
Yeah.
When it was. And I wasn't paying any attention. And the guy I was with, he's like, "Hey, watch this." And as he takes off on his 360 RT or something like that. It was a track machine. And I got the video, and you'll see it take off, and just the big puff of black smoke that comes out of the stack. Because at home, it's
awesome.
It's clear. I'm like, "Oh,
yeah."
He's like, "Look, watch it." I'm watching. He goes, "It's just big bill of black smoke." I'm like, "Man, they still get a roll coal over here." And, hey, look, it's an 8400 RT. Yeah, so it's that will be interesting to see and watch how that works, because we've done that before. We've taken things and we've detiered them to send them to wherever, we've done that. But it's been the hoops that you got to jump through to make that happen. And it all comes down to your ability to have what your fuel quality looks like and how that.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Australia doesn't have, its fuel quality is poor compared to the rest of the world. And in fact, I was talking to a fuel supplier not that long ago, and I asked the question why, and it's because a lot of our fuel is refined in Asia, and then it spends so long in a tank, and then they put it in a ship and send it to Australia. So we do very little refining in Australia. So by the time it gets to the fuel suppliers, there's an element of water already in it.
Right.
But the fuel suppliers do the best to strain it out. But on a world standard, our diesel is quite poor. So it'd be, and I think that's why. So back when I was selling John Deere equipment, we had the first 8R tractors, and they were tier 4, the final tier 4. And we had a lot of trouble with those tractors. And I think it's got a lot to do with the diesel that was being put into them.
Oh, yeah.
So because the particulate filters were being plugged, and and they're doing more burns than what they should have. And So, and it wasn't long after, and everyone can get tier 2. Yeah, which is less complex.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I mean, go watch a brand new tractor roll puff of black smoke out of it. And
However, it's funny because when we get the tractors, especially our Steiger tractors, still have the bolt holes where the exhaust is to bolt that big fat exhaust on, and all of a sudden we've got this big plate with this tiny little exhaust bolted to it. So, and we also have the like the holes where they put the AdBlue tanks and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
we still get those.
Yeah,
but there's just no tanks in there, so it's quite funny to look at that.
Yeah.
Right on.
So
that's awesome.
So when you're looking at, are you really seeing anything different change about, the way you're equipping these tractors? Are you seeing more technology show up than you had in the past?
There's probably a little more technology being put on the tractors compared to what there was. We're seeing guys going into implement steer and all those sorts of things. Not huge, but there's a small percentage of our market that are doing it, especially in row crop.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's good. So you're seeing some
the AFS Connect Magnum's probably taken off.
Yeah, it has.
Big player.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, and it's a very user-friendly system as well. Like you can quite easily get in there and get your way around that. So yeah.
That's got to be as vast as area that you cover and the distance between farms and how things are probably that.
Yeah, it does.
Geo-linking technology got to be.
It helps. However, the limiting factor is mobile service coverage.
Yeah,
and our mobile.
You live in Nebraska too.
Probably very similar because, it's not good. Yeah. So in the areas where they get good mobile service area, it works really well. And our service team can be proactive rather than reactive. Yeah, and that helps with planning and scheduling and all those sorts of things. Yeah. But it's it's a pretty cool feeling when you can predict a problem to a customer.
Sure. Yeah.
So
makes a big difference.
It does, but it also stops those things. Some guys are like, it'll be right. I'll just keep hitting. And the next minute the tractor stops dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it prevents a lot of that.
Yeah. It only flashes orange so long before it turns red.
Yeah, that's it.
And then you're done.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So those sorts of things are, they're helping us.
Yeah.
So
So looking at kind of final thoughts here. So you're looking at 23. Rest of 23, what are your thoughts about your market, the overall marketplace?
I think supply is going to get slightly better. It's really going to hinge on what happens in the next probably 6 to 8 weeks as to how the rest of our market's going to play out, because we're waiting for that autumn break, so to speak, or that fall break is what we call it. And that will, once we get the rainfall, that will trigger the planting season, and then we go onwards and upwards from there. Depending on how much rain it goes, then we look for more rain in June. And then obviously sometimes we can get really hot springs. So it's going to depend on, we really like to see a good rain in August, September. And if we can get that, it's pretty well in the bag.
Right on.
So so it'll be interesting to see what happens. So
we have Thanksgiving here the 4th Thursday of November. You have your Thanksgiving the 4th Thursday of May. Is that how it works?
It'd be February.
What's Thanksgiving? We don't have that in Australia.
It's basically a day where you sit around and eat
turkey,
and watch football. You'd be watching rugby.
That's it.
The same thing.
Yeah. No, we don't have Thanksgiving, unfortunately. So.
Okay. All right, man. Well, Tim, man, it's awesome having you here. This is really cool. I never thought we'd actually get a meet.
I was the same. Really it's been awesome how it's worked out.
Yeah.
So, it's been great to spend time with you guys and talk all things equipment.
Yeah, it's been really cool, and I appreciate you listen on all the way in Australia. It was kind of cool to get a message from a guy in Australia that listened to the show on a regular, and you've talked about quite a few people that listen to the show down there. So that's even more neat.
You're getting a following. So
good.
it's good.
Right on.
It's awesome. So today it's what, Sunday?
Global.
It's Sunday, so it's what is it, like Thursday in Australia right now?
No, it's Monday. It'll be Monday
okay.
afternoon. Monday afternoon.
All right, man. Well, good deal. Well, Tim, like I said, I appreciate you being on. And Aaron, you got any last questions or anything?
I don't. Thanks for coming, man.
Yeah, no,
Super
it's
cool.
awesome.
We got to hang out for the afternoon and
Feed sheep.
yeah. Come from Australia, the land of sheep, to do sheep chores.
No, it's been good. It's
Yeah.
been good. It's been awesome.
Awesome.
It's a pleasure.
Okay, Aaron.
I just need you guys to come down to Australia. So
count me in.
next year, you'll be down,
I
or
will.
That's a lot of playing for me, man.
I will.
it's not that bad.
I've always wanted to go to Australia, so I will figure out how to get to Australia.
Well, naturally, I've always direly wanted to go there to see all the sheep, but
Oh, you'd love it. You'd be
I
in
know.
sheep heaven.
I know. So cool.
Maybe you could
So
find a
badass.
dingo.
Huh?
Maybe you could find a dingo.
Maybe.
All right. All right. Folks want to reach out to you. What's the best way to do that?
Call me, text me, 308-760-1193. Email me, aaron.fintel@movingironllc.com, or on the social medias by my name, Aaron Fintel.
Tim, what's the best way to get hold of you?
The best way to get hold of me would be email, and it's very simple. It's Tim, Tim, at 3rm.com.au.
Right on. And in case you see more, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Moving Iron LLC. You can go to LinkedIn at Moving Iron Podcast and check out the video version of this over on the YouTube channel, which is the Moving Iron Podcast YouTube channel. Check it out there. Go to Moving Iron LLC for everything Moving Iron related and all the information for the Moving Iron Summit coming up here in Nashville, Tennessee, September 11th through the 12th or through the 13th. I almost cut a day short there. 11th through the 13th. So if you're interested in getting some more information about that, you can send me an email at MovingIronPodcast at MovingIronPodcast.com. Or if you have a question you want me and Aaron to talk about, you want us to banter back and forth on something, by all means,
Let her rip.
Send me an email at MovingIronPodcast at MovingIronPodcast.com, and I will make sure to get that out. Or you can hit me up, DM me on any of the social medias as well. So if you're interested in that, look forward to hearing from all of you. Tim, like I said, man, it's really been really cool to see you, dude. It's really been,
it's been awesome.
a lot of fun here. So
yeah.
So with that, I'm Casey Seymour with Aaron Fiddle and Tim Short. Smooth Smart, folks. Out.
Moving iron in the 21st century.